In Montreal's most culturally diverse community, Parc-Extension, a group of residents have organized to resist a new development by the University of Montreal. The Parc Ex Citizens Committee fear the proposed UDM campus will divide the neighborhood and further isolate an area home to many low-income residents.
The University of Montreal wants to build one of its campuses in the old train yards, the Outremont train yards. And it's a private project. It's a promoter. University of Montreal is considered is the promoter of the project, and the dialogue has been happening uniquely or up to recently with the city of Outremont because it's on actual Outremont territory. Because of public awareness and of discussions coming up, they have opened up and started talking to the neighboring boroughs, town of Montreal, Parc Ex, Myland, so Rosemont Petite Patrie, but it's minimal. They are not necessarily the most, the promoter that wants to dialogue the most.
So you see, this is the whole territory, like the whole, what we're going to be trying to go and see. And the tracks are still there on the Outremont side. So what we would like is that somehow the tracks stay on Outremont and don't get taken away. But we have no clue about the feasibility of that. So now we're in Outremont, so already the feeling is different. All nice and green, lots of trees. And this is what is going to be reproduced in the campus. The campus is going to be an extension of what you see here.
Now, because it's a university, do some people kind of feel that it's not as threatening as, high-rise condo projects?
Of course. I mean, people are just like thrilled by the idea that it's a university coming over, that it's not some kind of irresponsible mega corporation. But I think that you have to factor that in. It's a university, so they have a social responsibility that I believe they are not taking into account. And this is why, for me, accountability is bigger because precisely it's university, it's public funds. They will be using public funds, and they have to have a social conscience, I think, that I would maybe not expect of a private corporation.
What kind of questions should people be asking the University of Montreal?
Well, how do they expect to open up to the community? What are the benefits for the community? What kind of, as a community, what can we get from this project? What can we benefit? Right now, all we're seeing is that Parc Ex will be further fenced in, further enclaved, and that there will be very little opening. When I think that there's a potential for very, very interesting projects. And so, because we don't see that potential, well, as the residents committee, we've sort of started, but it's it's still in the beginning stages. But we have an open university of Parc Ex, precisely because we have a university in our backyard, which will not be accessible because the costs of university education are just skyrocketing, because physically it will not be an accessible campus.
Saint-Joseph, and then more to the left, it's the Ernest Cormier, the tower of Polytechnique, and completely to the left is the Vincent d'Indy music faculty. Well, I initially heard of the campus being built when there was the first consultation in 2007. They had set up a table, le Bureau de Consultation Publique de Montréal had set up a table in the William Hickson Center where my son was going to daycare there, so this is how I just by chance fell up on this table. Wasn't able to go to that initial consultation, but had an ear open for what was going on. And then I guess maybe 2 years ago, the Residents Committee of Parc Ex was started, and this is how we slowly started learning more about what was going on in the community and actually taking an active part and starting to speak out about what was going on.
Now, do you see these proposed changes hurting the community, or how do you see them playing?
Well, I think it can go either way. I mean, we can benefit if it's done in, in partnership, if it's done in a harmonious way. I think there's lots of positive benefits that can happen to the community. Of course, all of the gentrification that's going to come from this building can be positive if it's somehow not regulated, but if it's sort of controlled, if it's, we want to keep on living in our community. I want to be able to live here. I want to be able to raise my son here, but I have to be able to afford to do so. If taxes go up, if rents go up, well, no, we won't be able to live in our own community, and I believe that we should be able to have access to it. I should be able to live here.
Mary Darros is with Maire Tremblay and 100% behind the project, and doesn't understand the opposition, doesn't understand why we woken up so late in the process. Like I said, I think it's just a question of, mobilizing, a question of, it takes time for people to understand what's going on.
It's not just saying, well, we want a dialogue. Dialogue, I mean, they've been open for dialogue for quite a while now, but it's more than opening up dialogue. It's really making sure that people are aware. So we have, as a residence committee, we have a mandate to mobilize and to make sure that people know what will be going on and what is happening. And it's a difficult process, this mobilizing process, because of the language issue, cultural diversity, the fact that people see themselves as not living here, settling for a very long time. People work very long hours. So there's a whole bunch of factors that make mobilization in the community a challenge. As a committee, we have a lot of work to do. And I also believe that the borough has a certain responsibility too. When we talk about it, that's when it comes out on the news. And so this is why I feel that we have an important role, because had we not started speaking out about what is happening, people wouldn't even be aware. And even today, if you just go knock on a couple of doors, people will say, no, what are you talking about? People have no clue of what will be happening and what is actually happening just up their street.
The way it works is there's going to be the main campus, but then everybody has had perks. So TMR, they'll have the overpass redone, okay? And then Rosemont Petite Patrie, it's going to be the Atlantic District, and it's going to be the Alexandra Marconi District. That's beyond, that's the tracks, the end of the tracks over there. We're talking about the other side of, so we're talking about the east side of Park Avenue. We're like no longer on campus territory. And that's one of the fallouts, whatever, one of the perks that the borough's getting.
33,000 people live in Parc Ex in a territory of 1.2 square kilometers. This is what we call the sociological Parc Ex, so the part that is enclaved. And of the 33,000, 68% are not born in Canada. And of the ones that are born in Canada, so the 32%, 86%, their parents are not born in Canada. So that means that it's a makeup of people who come from all over and who create a new dynamic.
For CUTV News, I'm Adam Bema.